Hey guys, Matt from Mr. Matt's Arcade here. I'm going to do a quick overview of the brand new game board Alpha 3D Max. Check out my other review for an in-depth review with gameplay footage and goes into lots of detail on all the different settings and how to operate the game board and how well everything runs and all that type of stuff. This one's just going to be short and sweet. So the Alpha 3D Max has a Rockchip R3288 processor and 1 GB of RAM. And this system really does have 1 GB of RAM. I took the board apart and checked everything out. Some of the other game boards, they try to trick you on the amount of RAM it actually has, just to make it seem like it has more. This processor seems to be quite fast and fairly new compared to some of the ones that have been used in other game boards. This game board has arcade games as well as a lot of different console games. It has 10,000 games. Yes, you heard that right, 10,000. But just like all the other game boards, you can go into the settings menu and you can narrow down the games list, so you can trim it down to just the ones you want to play. But the nice thing about this game board is everything is organized much better, and the search function and category functions are way better on this game board. So even though there's 10,000 games, the menu system is still very quick, doesn't slow down having that many games, and it's still quick and easy to find the games you want to play. So it has categories at the top here. We have 3D games, it has about 300. 2D games, it has about 9,700 something games. And then it has your favorites menu, recently played menu, and then the search. So one thing I'll show you here is one nice thing about this game board is it's quick and easy to add favorites. In the other game boards, you had to go into the settings menu and scroll through and find the game that you liked and mark it as favorite. This, you can mark games as a favorite right from the games list. So if we wanted to add Air Attack as a favorite, you just press the C button, puts a little star next to it. And if we press the start button, press the start button again, go over here, bam, right there on the favorites menu. Makes it nice and quick and easy. So if you just played a game and you really like it and you want to be able to find it and play it again easily and quickly, you just hit that C button, bam, marks it as a favorite. So let's go over the search function. So this search function breaks it down by category, and it breaks it down by emulator, as well as search by name. So we have several different categories: versus, shooting, puzzle, action, sport, racing, 4-player, and trackball. And one of the great things is this board is trackball compatible, and it has a separate trackball category. On the Pandora's Box DX, which is the other game board that I've used often up until now, because that too is trackball compatible, and I personally love trackball games. For that one, I had to go through and play all the games one by one and see which ones worked with the trackball, and I had to make a separate list for you guys to refer to find them. But this is nice and easy. You just go to the trackball category and, well, let's go into it. Trackball category, press start, and here's all your trackball games. It has about 130. One thing I wanted to show you, which is a big deal for me at least, is this board has the Golden Tee series games. If you guys like golf games at all, these games are great. And so far, the other game boards out there don't support these games. I was able to mod the Pandora's Box DX to play them, but they still didn't play the best. They run very well on this system. We have Golden Tee 2K, 3D, 97, 98, 99, Classic, and then the older ones as well. So for you guys that own a trackball cabinet, if you like golf games, it's worth upgrading just for those alone, and everything else is a bonus. All right, let's go back to the search function. So I showed you the categories. Now you could break it down by emulator or game system. So we have Dreamcast, which also includes Thomas Wave and Naomi. Nintendo 64, which seemed to run really well, which is a plus because Nintendo 64 emulation can be a little iffy unless you're actually using a full-on computer. Whenever you're talking about lower powered single board computers and these game boards and stuff like that, a lot of the times, even if they include 64, they don't work very well. The ones I've played excellent. You can check out my other review for gameplay footage of a little bit of each one of these systems. Then we have MAME, which is your arcade games. PSP, PlayStation Portable. PlayStation 1. Super Nintendo. Nintendo. Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Color. Sega Genesis. FBA, which is Final Burn Alpha. That's more of your arcade. And PC Engine games. And then also this game board includes Atari 2600, 5200, and 7800 games, or a mix of those. They just don't have their own separate category. Here's a quick look at some of the Dreamcast games. It's got Capcom versus SNK. We got some Dead or Alive, Guilty Gear, Marvel vs. Capcom, Power Stone, Street Fighter, Dolphin Blue, Virtual Striker, WWF Royal Rumble, the Naomi version, King of Fighters, Metal Slug 6, the Thomas Wave version. Has lots of great games on here. And take a quick look at some of the Nintendo 64 games. And I will post a link to the games list so you can look at everything in detail. And you can check out my other review to see how well some of this stuff works. And we have your MAME games. It has 1,500 MAME games. So a really good selection, and everything I've tried plays very well. We have PSP. We have about 51 PSP games, including Tekken 6, Mortal Kombat Unchained, Soul Calibur, Dragon Ball Z, Initial D, Need for Speed, Twisted Metal. So lots of great games on there. And we have PlayStation 1. Lots of good PlayStation 1 games on here. Bloody Roar 2, Gran Turismo, Mega Man, Mortal Kombat, Resident Evil. So a good selection of games. Super Nintendo. We have 1,500 Super Nintendo games. And if you noticed, almost all these systems are in alphabetical order, and that is another great thing about this game board. A lot of the other game boards, like the DX, the order of games is a little weird, and sometimes it can be challenging to find what you want, or you have to rely on using the favorites menu and the search by name to get to the games you want. This is nice. When you scroll through, it's all in alphabetical order for the most part. Nintendo has 2,000 Nintendo games. I'm guessing some of these are pretty much the full library of games. Game Boy Advance. We have 227 Game Boy Advance games. Game Boy Color. We have 962 Game Boy Color games. Sega Genesis. We have 975. Final Burn Alpha, which is your arcade games. We have 1,300. So combine that with the other arcades. There's roughly 3,000 arcade games on here. And one other thing to point out is it's not a whole lot of duplicates. We do have a little bit here with lots of different versions of King of Fighters 97 and stuff like that. And a bunch of different versions of Metal Slug as well as Street Fighter. But that was it. Only a couple pages of them. A lot of the other boards loaded up with all kinds of different versions. This one still gives you a good selection, but it's not overwhelming with the amount of duplicates or bootlegs or mods or anything like that. And then we'll go over here to PC Engine. We have 243 PC Engine games. And then you can still do your search by name as well. So if we go to the 2D section, first couple pages are your King of Fighter, Metal Slug, Street Fighter. And then it breaks it down to being alphabetical order and separated by system. The one small thing that I don't like is right now, these are arcade versions. However, it doesn't tell you that anywhere. I wish there was a separate little icon here that told you what system it was. But other than that, I like the fact that everything is fairly well organized and separated. But the nice thing is, if you wanted to make sure you were playing an arcade game, you just go up here, go to MAME, or go to Final Burn Alpha, and now you know you're playing the arcade version. So that is your quick rundown of the new Alpha 3D Max. I'm very impressed with this game board. It is trackball compatible, has decent processor and RAM, lots of new console systems that all seem to look and play well. The other nice thing about this game board is it's not as locked down or as encrypted as some of the other game boards, which means I have access to a lot of different files. So I'm able to tweak things and edit things. Like I can access the RetroArch config files, which means I could go in and make some changes if I wanted to make things run a little bit better. So I can access a lot of different stuff, the game remap files, so I can make new game remaps if something was mapped incorrectly and I could add it to the system. So that way, if we do run into any issues with games not playing right, something running a little off, or the buttons not being mapped properly, I have the ability for the most part to go in and change it. One thing with this game board is this game board does not support adding new games. However, I have figured out how to do so, but it's a rather involved process, so I won't be adding any games unless it happens to be missing a couple of your favorites. Then I can add them in. But with 10,000 games, I can't imagine much more than a couple of your favorites would be missing with all these games on here. So that is the quick rundown of the Alpha 3D Max. I will be carrying this game board on my website in my shop, mrmattsarcade.com. Don't have any extras in stock right now, but at some point I will be carrying them on my website. In the meantime, if you're interested in upgrading or ordering a game board, you can just contact me and I can get that straightened out for you. Alright guys, so make sure to check out my other video if you want to see gameplay, go into all the other options and features this game board has. So, thanks for watching, and as always, game on, my friends.